right, guys. So we are recording here for those that are not with us, and this is going to be a supplement to domain and range and functions, and we're going to wrap this up today. We're going to look at some examples. So I'm first going to pull up, let's see, oh, this will work. All right, if I do this, if I asked you to find the domain and the range to those points, on your scrap paper, take a second and find. We know domain is all of the x's and range is all of the y's. What would be the first thing that we would do? I know some of us could. How many of us were able to go straight into the domain and straight into the range? So I probably had a couple. If I were going to help those that maybe might not know what to do, what would be a smart thing to start with? Yeah, let's name each point. So if I named this point, what would I name it as? -3, 0. How about this one? -1, 2. How about this one? 1, 1, and? -3, -2. So then it would make it really easy. The domain would be -1, 1, and 3. We would say that this is an x, this is an x, this is an x, and that's an x. Okay? Range would be 0, 2, 1, -2. So here's what I want you to understand. On your SOL, they may ask you, they may give you some points, separate points, point, 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 point. And they might say, which ones are the domain and which ones are the range? And you would say, okay, here are my x's, the domain, and here are my y's, the range. That's pretty simple to us, right? There is another way that they might ask for domain and range, and that is by giving you a connected line or function. And it may look something. We're going to start with this line. I want to know the domain and the range for that line. Now the question is, can I pinpoint an actual x on there? How many x's are on that line? Like a lot. You got this x and this x and this x and this x. I mean, each of them has an x and a y. There's tons of x's and y's. And guess what? Where does this go? There's more than that. Because that goes forever. Okay? So you're going to have to make statements to talk about the x's and statements to talk about the y's and where they're going. So you need to think direction. So x's run side to side. Agreed? My question is, how far to the left is this line going? And everybody says, Ms. Corns, that line is not going left, it is going down. Well, it's going down and left at the same time. It is going in a southwest direction. Okay? So it is going to the left. So how far is he going? Forever. To negative infinity, right? Because they're going in the negative side. How far to the right is he going? He's going up to infinity. Forever to the left, forever to the right. Thank you. Forever to the left, forever to the right. How many x's does that entail? All of them. An infinite amount. So the way we describe this, we would say all real numbers. And there is a symbol for that. It's 2 lines and a capital R. That means all real numbers. And you may want to write this down because when I give you your activity, these, you're going to do it by yourself. These are the examples, you can use to help yourself. Okay? So, Range goes up and down. So let's ask ourselves some questions. How far up and how far down? So, how far down is he going? He's going down forever. How far up is he going? Forever, to infinity and beyond, right? First block said, you know what, Miss Corns? He's going out the door, down the hill, up Main Street, and circle the globe, and all the way to infinity and beyond. Okay, forever in both directions. So how many Y's would that entail? All of them. So we would say all real numbers. So in this case, the domain is all real numbers and the range is all real numbers. Is every single one of them going to be all real numbers? No. So let's look at another one. Okay. So I want to describe the domain and the range. Again, when you're looking at it, you have to ask yourself the questions. The questions I'm talking about is you have to say, how far left, how far right, if you're talking about domain. So let's do that. How far left is he going? Never says Miss Corns, he's not going to the left, he's going up. But he's going up and left at the same time, northwest. Okay, so he is going to the left. So how far to the left does that arrow imply? Forever. How far to the right? Forever. So what would the domain be? All real numbers. It's every x under the sun. All of them. Then we ask ourselves the questions for range. Range goes up and down. The questions I'm talking about is how far up and how far down. How far up is he going? He's going forever. If you look at this arrow or this arrow, it doesn't matter which arrow, but both arrows are going up forever to infinity and beyond. How far down is he going? So we're going to do a little exercise. I'm going to take my hand up here, and as I move it down the screen, when I get to a stopping point, you say stop. Ready? Stop. Right here. We're stopping right here. So if there is a stopping point, you need to make a statement to that stopping point. By the way, how far down is that? To -3. So this is how we make our statements. We say that our range would be all y's, every y, such that, that's just more like a comma or a break, but it's a straight line, such that y is what to -3? Is my parabola on top of it or below it? Because it's above it, we would say greater than or equal to -3. What if it were below it? Then it would be less than. If it's above it, it's greater than. Okay? So let's look at another one. Let's just do a bunch of these so that we get the idea of it. Okay, let's talk about the domain and the range. And you know what first block said for that? They said, Miss Corns, this isn't even. Why? Yeah, it's not a function. It's crossing twice, yes. But we're still going to find the domain and the range, even though I agree it's not a function. Okay, but we're still going to find the domain and the range for it. So here's my question. Ask yourselves the questions. What questions am I talking about? How far left and how far right? Like if you don't, students that I know that struggle with this, I'll say, what's the domain? And they'll go, I don't know. And I say, you know, you've got to ask yourselves the question, how far left and how far right? Why left and right? Because that's domain. That's x's. X's run left and right. So let's look at this. And I like to look at the arrows first. Look at these arrows and tell me, how far left is he going? Forever. To the right, he goes to there. Where are we? To 2. We have to make a statement to that 2. So my question is, would I first of all use x or would I use y? Why x? Because we're talking about x's. We're talking about domain. All x such that x is what to 2? Y less than. On the left is less than. On the right is greater than. So at 2, everything is less or to the left of 2. So we would say less than or equal to 2. How about the range? How far up and how far down? How far up is the arrow going? Everybody goes, Miss Corns, it's not. It's going to the right. But it's going up and right at the same time. Do you understand that? So it's going up. How far down? It's going forever down. So what would the range be? All reals. How many are starting to get the hang of it? Starting? All right, let's do a couple more, and then I think we will be good to go. Just practice drawing. The only way to get better at it is to practice it. All right. So I want to find the domain and the range for this one. So I just want you to look at it for just a second and kind of look and ask yourselves the questions. How far left and how far right, how far up and how far down. Just kind of get that in your head. And then I'll talk about how you write it actually in domain and range. All right. So have you made some mental notes of where it is? How far left does this go? It goes all the way to -3. How far to the right? To 4. Notice what's one thing that I do to help me know, like how far left, how far right? I'm drawing those lines, okay? And that will help you, like on your graphs today, if you'll draw that line, like this far this way, this far this way, and so you know. So this is the way you're going to write your domain. If it has 2 stopping points, we got to state both those numbers. It goes all the way to -3 and it goes all the way to 4, and all of our x's are where? Everything's in between. So the way we write this is you're going to use this symbol every time, and you're going to say x is greater than what number? It's bigger than -3, but x is less than 4, and that is how you state your domain. -3 is less than or equal to x, and basically that says x is bigger than -3. It's greater than -3, but x is less than 4. Okay? If I did my range, how far up is he going? To 2. How far down? I think he goes all the way down here to -1. So, and we need to say that everything, my blue line, everything is in between -1 and 2. So, can someone tell me how I would write that? Sierra. Very good. And you'll use these same symbols. And I love that she said y. Why did she say y? Why? Because it's range. If it's domain, you use the variable x. If it's range, you use the variable y. Okay? Any questions on that? So there would be your domain and range. All right, let's do one more. And then I think you will be ready for your activity. So, domain is left and right. How far to the right does he go? Forever. How far left? Where's this stopping point? At 1. I'm at 1 on the x-axis. You with me? But what does this open circle mean? It's not equal to. Very good. It just means it's not equal to. If it's colored in, shaded in, closed circle, then it means it's equal to. If it's an open circle, then it means it's not equal to. So make a statement to 1. We would say all x's such that x is greater than 1. Why greater? Because we are on the right side of 1. Okay? Then if I did my range, how far up does he go? Forever. How far down? To 3. To make a statement. Who can do it for me? Somebody different. Somebody on this side that hasn't talked to me. Jasmine. What variable will I use? Y. All y's such that y is... Well, my question is, where am I? I'm comparing to 3 because I'm up 3. So am I above it or below it? So what would you say? Would you say greater than or less than? Greater than 3. Does that make sense to you? Yes. Okay, so I think we are ready for our activity. Thank you for tuning in.